Welcome to Conversations Beyond Time, where saints from centuries past, they meet us in the present, offering this ancient wisdom for our modern souls. Today, we're speaking with truly one of the most brilliant minds and, frankly, one of the most restless hearts the church has ever known. He was a philosopher, a bishop, a rebel, and ultimately, a saint. He once prayed, famously, "Lord, make me chaste, but not yet." And he journeyed through so much ambition, false religions, desire, before eventually surrendering to the one who had, always pursued him. I'm speaking, of course, with Saint Augustine of Hippo. Saint Augustine, welcome.
Peace be with you, Claire, and indeed with all who are listening. I am, only a voice myself, yet that voice, I hope, echoes with the mercy of God.
There are just so many ways we could begin our conversation, but maybe let's start with your own words. One of the most famous lines you ever wrote: "Our hearts are restless until they rest in you, O Lord." Can you take us into that restlessness? Where did it begin for you?
Ah, it began early. I was born in Thagaste in North Africa, what is today, I believe, Algeria. My mother, Monica, she was a very devout Christian, and she planted these seeds of faith in me, even as a child. But, I resisted them. I was brilliant, and I knew it, you see? I craved applause, admiration, and of course, pleasure. Even as a boy, I was captivated by beauty, but I did not yet know the beauty of holiness. My father, he was a pagan, and he really encouraged worldly success. So I pursued it. I really, really did.
Mm. And you certainly became a rising star, didn't you? A scholar, a rhetorician, so accomplished. But, you also lived what some might call a double life, wouldn't you say? Filled with, quite a bit of personal complexity.
Indeed, oh, indeed. At, at 17, I took a concubine, and we lived together for many years, and we had a son, a Deodatus. He was, he was a gift, and, I loved them both, I truly did, but I didn't love rightly, if that makes sense. My passions, they just ruled me. They held sway. And even though I longed for truth, I genuinely did, there was just something in me that it wouldn't submit to it. Not fully. I actually once said, I think, that I loved the truth, you see, but only when it agreed with me, not, when it actually called me to die to myself. That was the hard part.
And so into that longing, that kind of hunger you've described, that's when you turn to Manichaeanism, right?
Yes, yes, that's right. For nearly 10 years, I followed that sect. Manichaeism, it promised enlightenment, this sort of cosmic dualism, and, so many neat, very tidy answers for the problem of evil. But, Claire, it was hollow. Truly, they told me evil was a substance, and that the flesh itself was evil. But deep down, I could just feel in my bones something was missing. Their light, as they called it, it had no warmth, no grace. It felt so terribly empty in the end.
So then was it philosophy then that ultimately that really saved you? Or, was there something more at play?
Philosophy, it sharpened my mind. Oh yes, absolutely. But, it couldn't cleanse my heart. It couldn't. It was actually in Milan that I met Ambrose, the bishop there. I mean, what a man, truly, a man of incredible learning, but also, such holiness. His words, they pierced me. Yes, they absolutely did. But it was more than just his words, actually. It was how he lived. He wasn't puffed up. He wasn't afraid. It was just something else. And then, one day I was in a garden, really struggling, just wrestling with everything. And I heard a voice, it was like a childlike voice, actually. And it kept repeating over and over these two simple words, tole lege, cake up and read. And I knew somehow what I had to do. I went back inside, grabbed a copy of the scriptures, which, I hadn't really read properly before, and I opened it, and my eyes, they just landed right there on the letter to the Romans. It was Romans chapter 13, verses 13 and 14, I believe. And it said, "Put on the Lord Jesus Christ and make no provision for the flesh." And Claire, in that moment, it was as if God himself, he spoke directly to me, right there. And I knew, in my bones, I just knew without a shadow of a doubt, my restless chase, it had ended. Or, well, actually, no, perhaps it had truly, truly begun. I grieved her deeply, deeply, of course. But there was also this profound sense of peace, a knowing that heaven had truly gained a warrior. Her prayers, they were answered. And so, in time it felt natural. I was ordained, and then, well, I was made Bishop of Hippo. It wasn't, it wasn't by my ambition. No, not at all, actually. It was truly by the calling of the church. God's hand through his people.
As bishop, you really did become one of the church's greatest teachers, truly. But it feels like your legacy, your profound influence, it wasn't really built on like easy success, was it? It was born out of deep, deep personal and, theological struggle. Could you tell us a bit more about that?
Indeed, Claire, you're absolutely right. My most significant writings, the Confessions, City of God, even my letters and sermons, they were, in a way, forged in battle, not just against external threats like heresies or, invading armies, which there were plenty of, but perhaps most importantly, against my own pride, my own internal conflicts. And within that battle, I wrestled with so many questions that frankly still haunt the soul even today. Questions like, why do we sin? Is grace truly enough to save us? And, what about freedom? Can we truly be free if God knows all, if he has foreknowledge? My answer, in time, it became incredibly clear to me. Without grace, we are utterly lost. But, and this is important, grace does not destroy our will. No, it actually frees it. It enables it.
And yet, Augustine, your teachings, they've also been misunderstood, haven't they? I mean, they've even been used really to divide. Some say you inspired the Reformation, shaping, Protestant thought, while others see you as a staunch defender of Catholic truth. It's quite a spectrum.
Yes. Well, both may perhaps contain fragments of truth, Claire, but only in context. You see, I loved sacred scripture, truly, but never apart from the church. I said clearly, and I believe it with my whole being, I would not believe the gospel if not for the authority of the Catholic Church. That was my conviction. I never ever taught sola scriptura in the way some interpret it today. My belief was in tradition, in the Eucharist profoundly, in the communion of saints, and of course in the authority of bishops. These were for me indivisible. And yet, I also believed very deeply that God's mercy was, it was greater than our human divisions, far greater.
You know, so much of your writing, it still resonates so powerfully today, especially, I think, confessions. It's so raw, isn't it? Painfully honest almost. I mean, why did you write it like that? What was your motivation?
Ah, Claire, it was to confess God's glory, not really my own virtue, not at all. I laid my sins so bare, yes, all of them. It wasn't to scandalize anyone, no, but truly it was to show the immense reach, the incredible, incredible power of His grace. All of it. The lust, the pride, the ambition, the bitterness that gnawed at me. I named them all, every single one, because I knew, deep down, there were others out there just like me. People who had run so far and feared they were simply too lost to ever return. I wanted them to know, I really wanted them to know this one truth. Grace, you see, it's not just an idea. It truly is a person who comes to find you.
Oh, that's such a powerful truth, isn't it? Grace is not an idea, it is a person who comes to find you. Wow. St. Augustine, if we could just shift gears for a moment and look at our world today, right here, right now. It's so distracted, so anxious, and goodness, deeply divided. People are just searching, always searching. What what would you say to the restless hearts of our age? I mean, the ones listening right now, what wisdom would you offer them?
Ah, yes, the restless hearts. I would say this truly. Don't run from your hunger. You know, don't try to suppress it or fill it with fleeting things. No, no, no. Bring it. Bring that deep longing straight to God. The world, it offers so many pleasures, doesn't it? But they always fade. They always do. God, though, God offers a joy that truly endures, a joy that doesn't diminish. And please, don't fear your doubts, really. Bring them into the light. Truth, it doesn't fear questioning. In fact, it welcomes it. It always does. And above all, I would offer this counsel. Love the sinner, hate the sin. Yes, that's it. But begin with your own heart, Always begin there.
It's so interesting, St. Augustine, because you lived through like the fall of the Roman Empire. I mean, cities were crumbling, barbarians were invading. Many, many people, I imagine, just thought it was like the end of the world. And yet, you wrote The City of God. It's quite a statement, isn't it?
Yes, well, because I knew kingdoms, they do rise and they certainly fall. But Christ's kingdom, that endures, you see. That endures. So for your listeners today, for everyone, really, I'd say don't cling to worldly security. Don't, don't panic when systems fail, when things seem to unravel around you. Anchor your hope instead in the eternal. That's where true stability lies. There are there are really only two cities, aren't there? One built on love of self, even tragically to the contempt of God. And the other, that one is built on the love of God, even to the contempt of self.
choose the better city. St. Augustine, before we close, there are so many listeners today who, well, they're praying for loved ones who have, wandered far from the faith, just like you once did, actually. What hope, what comfort can you offer them from your experience?
Oh, Claire, never, ever stop praying. Never. My mother Monica, she wept for me, not in despair, mind you, but always, always in hope. And those tears, they were not wasted. No, they certainly were not. Believe me, no one is beyond God's reach. No distance is too far for His grace, and no heart is too hard for Him to soften. Intercede, fast if you can. Speak the truth, but always gently, always with love. And trust the slow, patient work of God. You may not see the harvest right away. No, you may not. But your prayers, Claire, your prayers are watering the soil. They truly are.
Thank you, St. Augustine. Really, just thank you for your honesty, your brilliance, and truly your profound witness. Your voice, it echoes still.
But it is not my voice that truly matters, only His. So if I may offer one final invitation to all who listen, take up and read, and let yourself be found.
Thank you again for joining us for Conversations Beyond Time. If this episode moved you, if it resonated with you at all, please, please do share it with someone you care about. And, we truly hope that your restless heart finds its rest in God, just as St. Augustine so profoundly expressed. Our hearts are restless until they rest in you, O Lord.